So I'm just going to respond to an article by The Independent. It's called French Farmers Demand Protection from Extremist Vegans Following Spate of Attacks. We're just asking that people respect our profession and our customers, said the country's Federation of Butchers. Now, I think that you can, respect people and people's profession, but still protest against that industry. I think some of the best protests that vegans have done are things like outreach, where you talk to people about veganism, the general public about veganism, and give them information and leaflets about veganism. I think that's really good. I think there are a lot of kind of activism that you can do, which is non-offensive, and where people get information about veganism in a non-aggressive way, and I think that's really important. I also think that people have the right to protest outside butcher shops or outside slaughterhouses if they want to, and it's their legal right to protest. So French butchers have written to the government asking for police protection from the country's vegans, accusing them of attacking shops and trying to end traditional meat eating culture. Now, the issue that I find with a lot of these articles is they kind of look at very, very minor crimes like graffitiing, like smashing a shop window, and leaving 1-star reviews on Facebook or nasty comments on Facebook. And I think that these are very, very minor compared to what vegans have actually gone through. A lot of vegans have actually, there are vegans that have been killed through their activism work. And this kind of makes sense because when you're protesting against duck farming, you're actually going somewhere where hunters have got guns, and you're protesting trying to stop them shooting ducks, or you're protesting outside a slaughterhouse where trucks are driving into the slaughterhouse. It's very easy, you're putting yourself in a dangerous situation, and it's very easy for you to get run over or killed. There's 2 cases that I know of, actually 3 cases that I know of vegan activists being harmed or killed through their activism work. One was a woman who was protesting about veal exports a couple of years ago, and she was actually ran over by a car. There was another activist who was protesting about duck hunting, and she got shot in the face. Luckily she didn't die, but she was quite severely injured. And Earthling Ed was protesting outside a slaughterhouse. He was stopping the trucks and asking for kind of 5 minutes to spend with the animals. And basically what happened was the guy asked him to move, and then got out of the car and hit him in the face. Now, I haven't heard of any vegans being physically aggressive towards farmers or slaughterhouse workers. If there are any examples of this, I'm happy for you to comment down below and tell me, but I've never heard of that happening. So I think the focus should be on protecting animal rights activists, to be honest. And I think animal rights activist groups should work with the government, work with the police force and with farmers in order to protect them. And I just can't believe that farmers don't talk about this and don't say how wrong it is, and don't work with the police to try and avoid these things from happening. It really angers me. The next part says, the French Federation of Butchers has wrote to the Interior Minister saying vegans have stoned and disgraced butcher shop fronts, spraying with fake blood and graffiti. Now, I disagree with spraying with fake blood and graffiti. I don't think it's effective activism anyway, and it just makes people aggressive towards you and not really listen to your point. And I don't condone any kind of fake blood spraying or anything like that. I think that it would be more effective if you talk to the general public about veganism. Right, so they go on to say a letter from the Federation chief, Jan Goward, said such attacks were a form of terrorism, and the media was fueling veganism and terrifying butchers' safety. I don't think the media fuels veganism at all. I think the media kind of, particularly the BBC, it kind of gives both sides of the coin. So it talks a lot about vegan extremism. I've never actually heard of them talk about any of the attacks that vegans have gone through, or the physical altercations, or the killings that have happened to vegans. I've never heard any of that. They do promote veganism to some extent. They look into the environmental issues, but they also do this ad hominem thing a lot of the time, where they talk about how vegans are extreme and militant and all of this crap. So it's terror. The next bit goes on to say, it's terror that these people are seeking to sow. So, in the aim of making the whole section of French culture disappear, he wrote. Now, I don't think French culture, or British culture for that matter, is going to disappear if everyone went vegan. I think it would just change, and you'd have new traditions coming in. So instead of having turkey and chicken at Christmas dinner, you'd have nut roast, and you just find different, things to enjoy together and have. I think. I mean, I think that cheese is a big part of French culture. I mean, I don't see why you couldn't have almond cheese or vegan cheese instead, which would be just as nice. So the Federation of French Butchers, 18,000 butchers, were increasingly concerned about excessive media hype around vegan lifestyles, that vegans were trying to impose their lifestyle and ideology on the immense majority of people. Now, the thing is, it's not just the fact that veganism is increasing. I think with veganism increasing, a lot of people are more open to trying vegan food. And currently, at this moment in time, a quarter of all British meals are actually vegan. So you have an increase in the number of vegans, and you have an increase in the amount of plant-based food the general population is eating. And I mean, I think that we'll slowly move into a more vegan diet. I don't think it will be completely vegan anytime in the near future, but I think it will be, people just won't be having meat every week. And I think the reason for this is that there'll just be too many people in the UK, and there won't be enough space to produce all the meat that people want. We count our services and on the support of the entire government that physical, verbal and moral violence stops as soon as possible, the letter says. Now, that's great that you want physical, verbal, and there's no such thing as moral violence and violence to stop. But I think that it needs to stop from your side. It doesn't need to stop from vegan side, because I haven't ever heard of a butcher being killed by a vegan. I've never heard of that in my life. Now, again, if there are any examples of this, please link them down below and tell me. But I've never heard of it, and I've heard of 3 examples of vegans being harmed or killed by slaughterhouse workers. So we need to focus on vegans being harmed and killed by slaughterhouse workers, not butchers being graffitied. It's not a priority. So others have seen windows broken. Last year, a cheese seller in Lyon was attacked with vandals spray painting words like "milk is murder" and "milk is rape" on their premises. Now, I do think milk is murder. It clearly is murder because the cows are actually killed when their production declines, and a lot of people don't actually realise this. They're killed while their production declines, and the male calves are killed at a younger age on milk farms than in the beef industry. They're killed around 8 months old, whereas in the beef industry they can live up to a year. In terms of milk being rape, I definitely think that milk is a form of sexual assault. Now, I wouldn't say it's rape because I think people get the wrong idea when people say rape. They think of you, like having sex with a cow, basically. Whereas it's not like that. But when we're looking at sexual abuse, we need to look at it from the victim's perspective. So, for example, there was one case where a man actually put his hand up a cow's bum and he was masturbating. Now, in the dairy industry, it's standard practice to actually put your hand up a cow's bum in order to artificially inseminate them. Now, the cow doesn't actually care whether you're sticking your hand up its bum for some weird sexual fetish or whether you're doing it to produce milk. It gets the same rates of infections from you sticking your hand up their bum, the same scarring, and it feels just as uncomfortable. So we really need to do something about reducing or eliminating the amount of milk we consume. Mr. Gifford, who runs a butchery in Brittany, says his members are growing afraid, adding butcher shops are more vulnerable than supermarkets and guarded slaughterhouses. Now, I think if you are really concerned about security at your butcher shop, you should actually increase the amount of security around your butcher shop. But you can't tell vegans not to protest. I mean, they have every right to protest outside your shops. They just shouldn't be vandalising the place. So he says, of course we do not demand a guard in front of each butcher shop. The state knows these tiny groups of vegan extremists and must take action, he told the newspaper. So the police have no right to stop peaceful protests. They obviously have a right to actually stop people vandalising shops, but they can't really do anything about vegan groups, vegan activist groups protesting, or about vegan activist groups at all. All they can do is protect the business once the graffitiing or trashing the shop windows actually happened. You can't arrest people before they've done anything wrong. So there isn't much that they can do about groups of vegan activists. Some have speculated that Federation is using the spite of attacks as a marketing opportunity. But amid falling meat prices in France, farmer groups have also appealed to the governments recently to call for laws to protect the status of meat, demanding that the terms sausage, fillet and bacon, determining the end of the terms sausage, meat and bacon for non-meat products. Now, that wouldn't make any sense, not having bacon, meat, sausage, burger for vegan products, or chicken for vegan products, or chicken for vegan products, or beef for vegan products, or cheese for vegan products, or milk for vegan products, because it just makes the whole thing confusing. With colloquial usage, or common usage, you commonly use cheese and milk to describe vegan products, as well as products which exploit and kill animals. I mean, it would just get confusing if you had a separate name for every single vegan item. So I couldn't use, to describe a vegan chicken burger, if I couldn't use chicken and burger, what am I going to call it? I'm going to say, oh, can I have some soya? It doesn't, people wouldn't know what I was on about. They think, soya, do you want soya milk? Do you want soya sausage? Do you want soya cheese? It wouldn't make any sense. It just doesn't work like that. So we have to use the words milk, cheese, sausage, burger for vegan products as well. In March, a vegan activist in France had given a suspending jail sentence for posting a Facebook message saying the killing of a butcher in a French supermarket by an Islamist militant was justice. I mean, obviously I don't condone that type of violence, but I think what was worse was the vegan who was actually killed by someone exporting veal calves overseas. And I've heard just as bad statements from farmers. I mean, I heard another slaughterhouse worker say that he ran over a woman and he was making a joke of it on Facebook and he didn't care at all. So, and that was on the Bedfordshire Animal Save group. Thanks for watching, guys, and please subscribe and like this video. Bye, guys.